On those matters, let's bring in Henry Wang, of course, our next guest. So, Henry, you are an ambassador for both sides, really. You are a proponent of globalization. But in this current bifurcation, is the multilateral approach sort of dead or on life support? And what's going to take to get dialogue going again?
Well, thank you, Steve. I think China probably is finally recovered from the COVID. I mean, even though the economy still takes some time. But I think the people movement, you can see this time China Development Forum have almost nearly 100 global CEO come, and sometimes some international institutions like President of World Bank, Managing Director IMF, and of course also Asian Development Bank and all those people. So I think China is reboot, starting actually to take effect now, and so we see a lot of people coming back and people going out, and there was this Boao Forum too, over 2,000 people attending from around the world. So things starting to improve, I would say.
The fact that these U.S. business leaders came to Beijing and had that meeting at the China Development Forum indicates they're interested in investing in China, obviously. But there are a lot of questions and concerns.
Sure.
One is about opacity of policy and the direction of policy. And again, what is the new productive forces going to mean for even excess capacity in areas? Janet Yellen is coming next week.
Yes.
She's going to bring up those issues about subsidies and excess capacity. So they, on the one hand, want to engage with China, but they're concerned. Do you think Xi Jinping allayed some of those?
Well, I think absolutely. We heard quite a bit of those, of course, concerns. That's true. But on the other hand, when they talk about new quality productive forces, you remember 1980s and 90s, China used 700 million shirts to exchange for 1.747, but now they can produce, C919 airplane now in China. So that means new productivity. Of course, they have also those new the champion of EV cars, batteries, and solar panels. But also, what's more, I think that's China consumer is going to really taking off. To expanding the middle class.
But they're not yet, Henry.
Yeah.
The consumer is worried, just like many of those business leaders meeting with Xi. They're worried about the future.
Yeah.
Because they haven't gotten explanation either.
That's right. I think the Chinese government may have a few more tools in the toolbox. For example, Premier Li Qiang mentioned at the China Development Forum that there is almost 300 million migrant workers. How to urbanize them? How to provide them a hukou and so stimulate to stay in the city, and maybe I think that in the future maybe allow them to sell the household land in the rural area, so people from city can go and buy, and they can come buy the urban houses. So there will be new momentum of stimulating economy.
But you need to fix the housing problem.
That's right.
First, though.
Exactly. So
how are you going to do that?
For example, in Hangzhou now they abolished all the restriction. Used to be non-Hangzhou resident cannot buy. Now everybody can buy it. I'm sure many cities have already done that. Lower the mortgage rate. And what I'm saying also, the Premier League has actually specifically mentioned about this 250 million migrant workers. Already in the city, 80s, after the 80s, 90s, new millennium, they cannot go back. They are just, city resident. So the urbanization rate of China is 60%. But people with the benefit with hukou is only 50%. There's 16% people just stay there without any, social status. So how to really, getting this 16% of Chinese population really be urbanized.
Which tool do you think is most readily available for authorities, fiscally or monetarily, to kind of kickstart the sluggishness of the economy? It's picked up a bit.
Yes.
And the stock market recovered, but the national team kind of came in and propped up sentiment, obviously.
That's right.
And there was consumption during the Spring Festival, which was good, but that usually peters out. So what policy measures are needed?
Well, I think there are several fronts. I mean, first they're trying to stimulate the confidence. I think there's a little bit the recovery of the confidence domestically, internationally. So that all those meetings, all those board, the CDF, President Xi meeting, part of that probably as well. Second, I think they are still actually focusing on this new type of quality productive forces, which means they're going to export more highly value-added product, or maybe also consume more. Also, they are doing another policies to ask all the factories, government agencies, household to exchange their equipment now. Why not sell your second-hand car, buy new cars, and buy new computers, new Apple phones, and things like that. So there's a stimulus for that. And also, finally, I think there's also good policies that China is really increasing their selling to the Belt and Road countries, Global South, 80% of the Global South. ASEAN become the largest trading partner of China now. So I think they are, not putting eggs in one basket, they're diversifying, but also furthermore, they have to really stimulate the middle class in China. Like Premier Li said, now we have 400 million. By next decade, we're going to have 800 million. So they're going to have a lot of process. Urbanization, I think, is the biggest policy probably they're going to adopt in the years to come.
And a lot of that has to do with perhaps allowing the migrant workers, those hukou, to continue. Because the urbanization, which was really pushed by Li Keqiang, the former premier, has kind of lost momentum.
Yeah.
Because, again, a lot of people have moved to the cities.
Yes.
But you need to unlock that consumption in the middle class. And I don't think trading in white goods like washing machines and dryers is going to necessarily do it.
No.
Which comes first, the policy or the confidence first?
Well, personally, I think that every 10 years China has a revolutionary policy. In the 80s, they contract land to the farmers. That changed China from a shortage economy to abundant economy. In the 90s, Premier Zhu said, let's privatize all the apartments in the cities for the workers. And that created 400 million middle class. And in the year 2000, then China joined WTO. Only a handful of companies monopolized free trade. Now everybody can do free trade. China become the largest trading nation. Now it's the time they need the fourth revolutionary policy, I think, to give the use right of the farmers, the land, household land in a property, so that the property of the 300 million migrant workers can exchange that with people in the urban, so that can stimulate the new economy.
We're running out of time, but I have to ask you, since you are a proponent, it's in the title of your organization, Globalization, there is a potential that Donald Trump would return to the office in the White House. What would that mean for the progress, if you see any, that we've made?
Well, I think I know Donald Trump. I mean, first term he likes phase one, probably going to phase two, phase three, phase four. He's more deal-driven, more transacting style president. Well, there's certainly uncertainty. He could be more close to Russia and things like that, or annihilate the EU and NATO friends. But I think, in this big complex, China is going to be a big important forces, even for North Korea issues, for Middle East, and even for Russia-Ukraine war. I mean, China can play a lot of mediating, so Donald Trump wouldn't have to need China to help. So I would expect, could be worse, could be better. That's still hard to say, but deal-driven. If it's like to make a deal, I mean, China is the best partner to make deals. So I would not worry too much.
What's the path forward to the growth target of about 5%?
Well, I think that's probably going to happen. Every year China add another almost Australia GDP to its GDP level. but if the base of last year is still there, so this year 5% will be consolidated. I think the most important is the confidence. I mean, if you have confidence, China has all the right element. You have 70% of 5G networks in the world, 2/3 of global speed train networks in China, 12 million college graduates every year. So all the synergies there. 7 largest port in the world in China. So that's probably going to drive up all this, the synergy and supply chain and investment. So if that comes back, I mean, things can pick up.
We need policy clarity. We need policy clarity.
Absolutely.
Not just trust us. We'll get it done.
Of course.
Policy
clarity.
Yes. Henry Wang, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you,
on Bloomberg
Steve.
TV. Always great to talk to you. Okay, David, we're going to send it back to you. More to come from increasingly cloudy Boao on Hainan Island.